The Lean Startup: How Today's Entrepreneurs Use Continuous Innovation to Create Radically Successful Businesses by Eric Ries challenges entrepreneurs and startup businesses to take a hard look at how they work to improve their success. The author applies what is called lean thinking to the process of innovation, which also involves eliminating waste, the time, energy, and money lost in creating products and services that nobody wants or uses. Each part of this book, Vision, Steer, and Accelerate, has several sections, and we will highlight a few valuable ideas from each. You can fill in the gaps by picking up the book when you get a chance. We start with Part 1, Vision. Start. The Lean Startup asks you to measure productivity differently. Ries says, the goal of a startup is to figure out the right thing to build, the thing customers want and will pay for, as quickly as possible. The Lean Startup emphasizes customer insight and faster iteration within product development. This method aims to teach you how to drive a startup with agility. Rather than make big plans based on assumptions, make constant adjustments at the steering wheel, which Ries calls the build, measure, learn feedback loop. A startup's vision, its true north, is creating a thriving business that can change the world. Achieving that goal requires a vision, a strategy, and a product. Products change through optimization called turning the engine. This strategy may need to change, but the vision, not so much. To this end, entrepreneurship is about management and demands managerial discipline. Define. A startup is defined as a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. A product is anything that creates value for the people who become customers. Anything that customers experience from their interactions with a company should be considered part of that company's product. Learn. Too often, learning is used as the excuse for failure of execution in a startup. Yet, the fundamental goal of entrepreneurship is to build an organization under uncertain conditions, so learning is its most vital function. The Lean Startup model reconciles this tension with validated learning, a method to demonstrate progress in the midst of the uncertainty. Empirical demonstration shows a team has found insight about a startup's business prospects with data collected from real customers. It helps to ask, which efforts are creating value and which are wasteful? True productivity means systematically figuring out the right things to build using validated learning while looking for improvements in a startup's core metrics. The real question is, should this product be built? The biggest waste of all is building a product customers won't use. Experiment. In the Lean Startup model, an experiment is a product. The two most important assumptions or experiments entrepreneurs make are the value hypothesis and the growth hypothesis. The value hypothesis tests whether a product or service really delivers value to customers once they are using it. The growth hypothesis tests how new customers will discover a product or service. Entrepreneurs can create what is called a minimum viable product, or MVP, to test both. Start a campaign, enlist early adopters, add employees to each new iteration, and begin building a product. By the time the product is ready to be distributed, it will already have customers, solved real problems, and you will have data on what needs to be built based on what's working now. If you cannot fail, you cannot learn. Part 2. Steer. Leap. A business plan begins with a set of assumptions, and quick testing of them should be an early priority. An entrepreneur begins with two challenges. First, to build a company that can test assumptions systematically, and second, to perform this testing without losing sight of the company's vision. These assumptions are called leaps of faith, like the ones mentioned earlier, the value hypothesis and growth hypothesis. You have to figure out if a new product or service creates value or destroys it. Startups need real contact with customers to understand them and the problems they can help solve. Test. The MVP, a minimum viable product, gets entrepreneurs into learning as quickly as possible and also is the fastest way to get through the build, measure, learn loop with the least effort. Keep your MVP simple. Any additional work beyond what is required to start learning is a waste. Customers don't care how much time something takes to build, only if what you build serves their needs. Measure. A startup must 1. Measure and assess where it is right now. And 2, create experiments to learn how to move the numbers closer to the ideal numbers in the business plan. Accounting, or what Ries calls innovation accounting, is the key to succeeding. Here is how it works in 3 steps. 1. Use an MVP to establish data on where the company is right now. 2. Tune your engine of growth, profitability of customers, cost to acquire customers, repeat purchase rate of existing customers, and changes to product to drive these things from the baseline toward your ideal. And 3. Pivot or persevere. Change your approach or keep going. Companies of any size with a working growth engine can come to rely on the wrong metrics to guide their actions. These vanity metrics give the rosiest picture possible, such as the number of website visitors. Instead, actionable metrics allow us to judge our business and our learning milestones. They show a clear cause and effect, as with A/B split testing, which help you understand what version of a product a customer reacts to most positively. Pivot or persevere. As an entrepreneur, are you making enough progress to conclude your strategy is correct, or do you need to make a change? Change in this context is called a pivot, a course correction that tests a new hypothesis about your product, strategy, or an engine of growth. Startup productivity is about aligning efforts that create value and drive growth. If you choose to persevere for too long without creating value or driving growth, create a potential false victim. The runway is how many pivots a startup can still make. This is usually defined as the remaining cash in the bank divided by the monthly burn rate or drain on the account balance. Cutting costs, raising funds, or getting to each pivot faster extends the runway. The goal is always to get validated learning at lower cost or in a shorter time. Part 3. Accelerate. Batch. In lean manufacturing, single-piece flow increases efficiency of repeat tasks. For example, putting stamps on a big stack of envelopes seems more efficient than inserting a letter, addressing each envelope, and then adding the stamp. We expect to get better at the simple task of putting stamps on all the envelopes as we go. This isn't always true. Our intuition doesn't factor in the extra time it takes to sort, stack, and move around large piles of half-completed envelopes. Aim for small batches all the way down to single-piece flow along the whole supply chain. Large batches tend to result in additional work, delays, and interruptions. Grow. One simple rule characterizes sustainable growth. New customers come from the action of past customers. This is done in 4 ways. 1. Word of mouth. 2. As side effect of product usage. 3. Through paid advertising. And 4. Through repeat purchase or use. These sources power feedback loops that the author call engines of growth. The faster the loop turns, the faster the company grows. Every engine of growth slows down sooner or later, so companies must manage their engines of growth and develop new ones when the others start to run dry. Adapt. An adaptive process forces you to slow down and invest in preventing problems that waste time. As those efforts pay off, you speed up again. When confronted with a business problem, have you ever stopped and asked, why? Just once? 5 times? Repeatedly asking why helps uncover the root problem and correct it. What began as a technical fault could in fact be a human managerial issue. Startups in particular are at risk of working too fast, trading quality for time in a way that causes sloppy mistakes. Teams may feel they don't have time to waste on analyzing root causes, even though it would give them more time in the long run. The 5 whys provide a foundation for quick response to problems as they appear, without overinvesting and over-engineering. Innovate. Nurture disruptive innovation in your organization. Startups require 3 structural attributes: scarce but secure resources, independent authority to develop their business, and a personal stake in the outcome. In a startup, too much budget can be damaging as too little. Startups need complete autonomy to develop and market new products within their limits. They must have freedom to conceive and execute experiments without getting an excessive number of approvals. Even within large organizations, entrepreneurship and innovation should be viable career options. This has been our review of the book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. This no-nonsense guide encourages you to get real with your results as a startup. Whether you are an entrepreneur working solo or on a team within an organization, pick up the book for a more in-depth and complete roadmap. Thank you for watching, and let us know what you think.